This is a great crowd, even if it were sunny weather, and it's even a greater crowd when we have the rain today. So I thank you for your commitment. It is a demonstration that sends a very strong message to anyone who's watching, and hopefully a lot of people are watching. I can talk about a lot of little issues today, and big issues, but I'm going to try and concentrate on the issue that brings us here today. And we call this gathering here today, and the thousands of others that are happening across the nation, we call them tea parties, because we know from history that some of our brave ancestors rose to the occasion in their day with the famous Boston Tea Party. I just heard some clips from those who were gathering in the Boston Tea Party today. Yet I can say that we all know very well that the issue today has really little to do with tea. We also know that these are not parties in the normal sense of the word. So I ask you today, why are you here on this rainy day? What is so important to you? What is so important to you in the hundreds of thousands of patriotic Americans and Pennsylvanians across this nation that feel compelled to gather together? I submit that it's what you say, and it's the same reason that I am standing here and honored to stand with you in the large group that we had in Harrisburg this afternoon. That reason is simple. I, like you, cherish my freedom. I love my country. I love my family. I love my children. And I, with God's help, will not stand idly by while my country is stolen away from under my feet. So the issue is this. If you have ever fought to defend freedom, and I know there are many out here who have, if you've ever lost anyone in the defense of freedom, and I know there are many in that category, if you perhaps have immigrated to this country because of your love for freedom, or if you are just someone who appreciates the benefits of freedom, then you know as well as I do that we are standing on the precipice of losing our freedom. That's the issue. Let's be very clear about it. That is the heart of the matter that brings us together here today. Yes, we can talk about taxes on this day. It's appropriate. This is April 15th. This is tax day. We can also identify the hundreds of wasteful programs in the federal government. And we can point out the unconstitutional encroachments of the federal government into our 50 sovereign states. We can also isolate the regressive and immoral taxes levied on our citizens, like the inheritance tax or the property tax. And we shudder when we hear of the Obama administration's proposed new federal corporate and personal income taxes that will destroy any motivation to hard work and to get ahead. We can also tally the deficits created by the federal government and gasp when we learn that the real debt facing this nation is over $65 trillion. We can also be told that the federal government is going into further debt at the rate of $60,000 a second. That's 3 times the pace of the 2008 historic pace. We can also witness the printing of money created out of thin air by an unconstitutional and out-of-control federal reserve. We can conclude that the federal government's deficit spending in this present administration, and I might add in the preceding administration as well, will fall directly on the backs of our children, crushing any ambition and hope for the future that they may have. We understand from history that any government so undisciplined and so self-seeking that results in spending what it does not have always ends up in slavery, and that could also mean the land of the free. Yet, my friends, these things are not the cause of our current problems. They are the symptom. What is the cause? Out of control, unconstitutional, and illegitimate spending is the cause. A blatant disregard for what government is authorized to do or not to do is the cause. A brazen attitude toward the concept of the rule of law and the Bill of Rights is the cause. And of even greater cause are the experts in Washington who, like children in the cockpit of an airliner, only redouble their efforts to plunge us ever faster towards a crash landing by doing more of the same that got us to where we are. And confirming the cause, the leader of our nation said just yesterday, quote, "Cutting back on spending is the last thing to do in a recession." So I return to my original premise. At the end of the day, the shared legitimate fear that is causing what I am terming a reawakening occurring across this land, the shared concern that washes aside artificial party labels, Democrat and Republican, black and white, this issue that brings us here today is one that affects everyone who is an American. The increasing and undeniable reality facing all true Americans today results in what brings us all collectively together. And it is that predictable loss of personal and individual freedom, infringements on our right to speech and assembly, the repeated attempts to limit our rights to defend ourselves and our families and our property, or the insidious plans and policies to steal away our property and violate our privacy. It seems today that almost every one of our Bill of Rights is being eroded and threatened by the very government who is constitutionally obligated to protect us by observing those very Bill of Rights. That's why we're here today, and that's why the people of this Commonwealth and the nation are awakening. And that's why I believe that those in Washington had better take heed and listen up and look around this country today. We've come too far as a nation. Our fathers and our mothers have sacrificed too much. And God has blessed us too much in this nation for us to sit idly by and watch our liberty and our children's futures squandered on the altar of the immediate. Today, the issue, whether it's Real ID, whether it's the 10th Amendment that we're talking about as a way of trying to get it back, or so many other issues, the message really is all about our freedom. So I ask you, do you love freedom? Are you willing to let anyone take away your freedom? If need be, as our fathers were and those who signed our Declaration of Independence, are you and I willing, if need be, to die for our freedom? Washington, listen up. That's the message. President Obama and Congress, listen up. Governor Rendell, listen up. Our freedom is not for sale. Our Constitution is not out of date. We know that our freedom was not free, and freedom is never free. It's always purchased, and ours was purchased by the blood of millions of dedicated Americans. And I say, for their sakes and for the sakes of our children, we will not willingly give it up. May God bless each of you who are here today. May God bless our Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and may God yet bless this great land. we call America.